today's video, we're going to be showing off a Winter's Guile snap build. Incinerator Snap's very fun, but ever since Winter's Guile's got nerfed, not many people have used them with it, but I still find it fun to use because it still increases your melee damage. Now, the melee damage is based off of melee kills. It also counts for glaives. Going into this, we're going to be running Winter's Guile, the main exotic. Every melee kill increases melee damage up to 275%, which is 5 stacks. It lasts for 5 seconds, of course, but the main part of this build is, of course, Solar Subclass on Warlock. Getting into the Solar Subclass, we're going to be running Heat Rises and Touch of Flame with Incinerator Snap. Now, Incinerator Snap, it shoots 5 pellets out when you do Snap, each one applying 20 Scorch to a target, but when you pair this with a Fragment, it will increase it to 30. We'll get to that in a minute. Also, we're going to be running Phoenix Dive and Firebolt Grenades on this build, but the first fragment is going to be Ember of Empyrean. Now, the reason why you want this is so your Restoration lasts longer, and of course, Ember of Char, so we can get our grenade back, of course. And on top of that, we're going to be running Ember of Searing, so defeating targets grants melee energy and a Fire Sprite. We'll get into the Fire Sprite part later, but for now, let's get to our boots. So this is the Elemental Charge perk. This was a seasonal artifact mod last season, but this is what makes the build amazing. Now here you can run melee kickstart, or you can run the one with the fist and the triangle, but I run melee kickstart instead. Now Ember of Ashes is the main part of this, which increases it from 20 to 30 stacks, implying 150 Scorch stacks. Now, of course, when you hit a target hits 100 Scorch, they explode, but let's get into it. Now, the reason why we're running Heat Rises is the very bottom text, Final Blows while airborne, increases the duration of Heat Rises and grant melee energy. This is why Heat Rises is amazing for this build, just so we always have melee energy when we are jumping. Now, let's go test our damage on Carl so you guys can see the difference between no Winter's Guile and a 5x stack. Now going into here, we're just going to stack this and go get a just normal melee hit on Carl, taking him Scorch, doing 42,717 damage. Now with all these damage numbers in mind, the white damage numbers added up to 28,135 damage base. With the ignition targeting, it added up to 42,717 damage. Adding those together, you get 70,852 damage base without times 5 on Winter's Guile, so we're going to show times 5 off and see the difference in the damage. Now we're just going to get our melee energy back very fast by just killing enemies in the air. And then melee 5 enemies and snap at them again. Doing 160k this time. Now each Scorch pellet from the snap hitting around 20,000 damage. When we add all of those up, we get 82,310 damage total from all the white damage based numbers. Now from the ignition, as you can see, we hit 160,000, which is basically a decent amount of damage, but adding that together with the single pellets from the snap, we get around 242,581 damage total. Now this is without any debuffs or buffs at all, boosting our melee damage besides Winter Guile. Now you can throw Tractor in to increase your damage a bit more because the snap would do more against a debuff, not to mention that Winter's Guile also boosts the damage of each of these snaps pellet because they all count as melee. This also works with glaive damage as you saw in the beginning, but I did not test that just yet. But here we're going to get into the mods we're running in this build and what you should run to make it the best, most efficient melee build. So let's get into that part. Getting started with our mods, on our helmet, we're going to be running double hands-on so we get more super energy on melee kills with Solar Siphon, but you can run Ashes to Assets instead of Solar Siphon if you don't want to make orbs with your solar guns. Moving on to our arms, we're running melee kickstart and heavy-handed, just so we can make orbs off our melee kills with impact induction so we get our grenades back faster. Next up on our chest piece, I'm running all resist. You can run whatever you want here, the mods do not matter. On our boots, we're going to be running Elemental Charge. Now, why we're running Elemental Charge is so when we pick up a Fire Sprite, it also grants an Armor Charge to us. So if you want, you can replace that with Damage Boost if you want to. Now, onto our boots, running Configuration and Recuperation, so we get our melee and health back from picking up an orb. Now, you might be asking, how do we pick up orbs? Well, we're running Powerful Attraction. So when we use Phoenix Dive, we pick up our orbs. We're also running double hands-on, so we also get more melee energy. Now, instead of melee kickstart, you could run the one where melee kills give you your class ability back, so you always have Phoenix Dive ready. I swap between them here and there, but I find melee kickstarter more beneficial to me, so I always have my melee up. Also, we're going to be running Firebolt Grenade because they are the slowest, the fastest cooldown with max discipline. You're going to want max recuv, max resil, and max discipline for this build, but if you want, you can cut down the recuv to get more strength. Hopefully you all found this build helpful and go have fun snapping at enemies. Thank you all for watching, and please like and subscribe.